Welcome to episode 8 of the This Ain't For You podcast, the place where we fail to stay on any kind of topic, but we do try so very, very hard. In this episode, whilst trying to talk about what the last job on Earth would look like, we branch off onto topics such as a fish and chip robot, AI and Amazon, the benefits of a customizable robo-newsreader, the prospect of a de-automation movement, and the question of whether T-Rex ever had nipples. If you're curious as to how we get there, stick around. Otherwise, this ain't for you. Last job on Earth. What do we think?
Takeaway chef.
Takeaway chef. Well, the chef is someone you can take. You bring them into your home.
I mean, that works for me.
You've got no choice because there are no delivery drivers anymore.
Exactly.
I thought it was because they're like the self-driving, the drones.
Oh,
the drones
we've
would come and drop
automated
it off.
everything else.
Yeah.
We still want a person to cook it though.
Oh yeah.
Is that because they're better or because they're cheaper?
Gonna be.
I feel like taste would be a very difficult thing to program into a artificial entity.
Depends what you cook, doesn't it? Some things are really
Yeah, like fish and
just
chips,
chemistry.
I suppose. You could just
and yeah.
that wouldn't be too difficult.
Yeah, I mean fish and chip. You can imagine loads of stuff because it's all data, isn't it? You could detect the color. You could press the batter and detect the crispiness. You could detect the temperature. You need the size and the volume to surface area ratio to know how long to cook it. You could calculate everything, and you could make perfect fish and chips every time. But I don't know. That feels like that's going to stay around for a while, isn't it? I don't think there's a rush to automate fish and chip shops because they're owned by small companies. If it was a big company that ran fish and chip shops, I think maybe they'd be more interested.
Like Harry Ramsden's or something.
How do you get fish and chips, the kind that you buy in the supermarket that's frozen, that's been cooked and battered? I mean, that's not cooked by people, right? That
No.
must be factory cooked. It doesn't
It's
honestly
not as
taste
good though,
like
is it?
fish. It's not great at all. But
not fully cooked even, is it? It's just like fish fingers kind of stuff. The frozen block of fish comes in. It's put on a table saw, cut into fingers, battered, and then just flash frozen, isn't it? Again. It's not actually cooked.
I don't know, but I believe.
Yeah, I don't think it's actually cooked.
I don't have any. I'm gonna have to chop open a fish finger before I cook it to see what it looks like now.
Well, there you go. I'm glad we've inspired some action from the TAFY podcast. But I don't think, are we talking about when the world has become, mostly automated? Every single job apart from this last one. What would the last hold out?
Yeah, the last job or the last sort of type of job.
Okay.
It's more general,
It'll
so
be-
maybe.
The person paid to sit in front of the big red button. If something goes wrong, press this.
The one that we've been told can turn it off.
Exactly.
Of course, nothing can turn it off, and we wouldn't dare turn it off if we could, because God knows what had happened then. But to make people feel better as we give overall power to our robot overlords, we've been told that we have this button that can turn them off. I'm thinking right now of places like Amazon, where a lot of stuff that they have people doing is just kind of trash, picking stuff up and putting it in boxes because it's a little bit tricky to get robots to do. So jobs haven't been. They didn't keep those jobs because they're the jobs that are fulfilling and require imagination or any of the things that we might like to think that people are good at. They kept them because it's a little bit fiddly to automate a hand.
You don't have to. It doesn't have to be a hand, does it? You just sweep a bot. Scoop it all into a pile. Not even a pile, into the gutters with their little own conveyor belts underneath that just take all the trash off to one end. I'm sure there's ways of doing it. I wonder how much of Amazon's they're keeping people around just because it would be a really bad PR move to replace everybody. Because It can't be that far off for them. Really can't.
I don't know, because a lot of the jobs are warehouse jobs.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing about that, but I would have thought I saw ages ago a robot that was replacing some of the like order picking type work that people do. That was kind of in development, but I don't think it was owned by Amazon. You would have thought if they could do that, they would do that.
I
I
know.
mean,
Well,
within,
technically they could. I just don't think like politically they could.
because they definitely want to get rid of delivery drivers, don't they?
I think you have to go further back up the supply chain, though, because you get these random little items that are not in packaging or whatever. Like, how do you have to program a robot to pick up every single random little item that's different density, different shape, size, weight, whatever? Or do you have it all pre-packaged in little boxes, like boxes that are just big enough for each item, which are then easy to pick?
You want a bit of both, don't you? You want to trend towards having more uniform packaging with something like a QR code on it that makes it easily identifiable, and at the same time you want a kind of general robot that can be a little bit pick up a small box or a big box or a big fish,
I
little
went
fish.
to an automated warehouse once in Germany, and it's like the drivers bring in the stuff and it's boxed up, whatever size box. It's put on the conveyor belt and it goes through these laser gates that measure the size of it. It knows how the volume of the thing. It slaps the appropriate labels on itself, then put on this whizzy cart. It's just like a 2-axis thing. So it'll shoot down the aisle, up the right shelf, and then push it across onto the shelves. And this system knows where all these things are. It knows the best efficiency for putting the different size boxes on the shelves, and it can just go get and bring it back for dispatch and that kind of stuff. And like, I mean, I've seen the swarm of Amazon robots in there packing centers.
I'm not saying them there.
That like stuff's on like rack, cages that you get in like the supermarket.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
For stocking, it's on like cages like that. But these robots come underneath them to shuffle them around and move them around the warehouse.
That's right. I have seen them, and they don't have fixed routes, do they? They make up new routes, and it's just it's like a ballet going on or something. It's crazy.
I think it can't. If they'd have wanted to, I'm pretty sure they could have done it already and got rid of all the people.
So do you think that'll last? Do you think that there's really, because I would have thought that politically, if you were going to get rid of some jobs like stacking shelves would probably be ones you could get rid of without too much. Maybe that's a really big percentage of the people they employ, although probably not a big percentage of the salaries they pay. I don't know.
I don't know what the spread on society is, because like one of the things I heard was something like, I think it was in America. It was like teach coal miners how to code. It became like a terrible. It got some backlash on it for some reason, and it's like the idea that we just take them out of this job and we just train them up in some of the new stuff. Like, that sounds good, but how many of those roles are actually they're going to be? And also, you're assuming that everybody in that guy, or a significant number of those people, have the capacity to learn that, because not everybody is on the same intelligence. Just
and the time of your life as well. Because when you're younger, you have more time. You really get into things. I think you kind of slow down how quickly you're learning things, even if you're not able. The kind of natural progression of your life. You get older, you have kids and a family and a bit more outside work. You don't just throw yourself in like you might do when you're younger.
Yeah. But then, like, there's also loads and loads of people that couldn't wait to leave school. Like, so you're going to take them back into school and teach them how to code or be data scientists or something to that. I think it's going to have a bit more impact than I think people would like to believe.
Yeah, and for every factory, you don't need one coder for every stealth shacker, shelf stacker. Didn't work out how to say those words. For every shelf stacker, you don't need one code. You need one coder for every,
Shelf stacking thing on the planet.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Let's say you need half a dozen coders just to
Yeah,
give some sense of teamwork.
yeah. I mean, hundreds or even thousands of coders for every millions of shelf
Yeah.
stackers is probably the.
So go on then, move it forward, however many years it is until all the jobs are taken by machines and robots and AI and sort of physical
Maybe
stuff.
maybe we touched on something then. We need coders, right? Is that some kind of coding is going to be like I was talking about? They plot their own route around. I mean, a person doesn't plot the route. A person writes some code, and then the code writes the route. And to some extent, we can write programs that can write better programs. But I don't know how far that'll go or how far that'll be allowed to go. Like coding has some mileage in it.
Are the coders designing the robots as well, or does someone design the robot and then the coders code it, or is it a?
Well, AI could design the robot.
Well, this is what I'm wondering. Like, can the AI design the robot, and then if it can design the robot, does it need us to code for it?
It's tricky, isn't it? You've got to imagine what's possible and what's probable. I think there's some time before we would have a program that we'd let write programs and then build the things without having a lot of people in the loop.
I think given the nature of code, though, it's like a logical set of instructions. So given that the AI could have an understanding of the problem, I would be pretty sure that it could come up with a set of instructions and be able to translate that into action.
But will it build fail safes into the program should a fleshy object appear in the wrong place?
No, because you don't need fleshy objects in the way. No
What's
doors.
that fleshy object doing there?
Yeah, clean it up.
Yeah. So, do you have to build in like the Asimov style laws of robotics?
I don't think they work really. I mean, they sound nice, but if you're designing a thing that can design code and update itself, surely then that any laws you give it, I don't see how you can have any laws and actually believe that they're going to stay forever. I guess we've kind of stumbled into an inevitability that we have some kind of general artificial intelligence to take care of a lot of these things. At the minute, I mean, I'm sure people are working on a general one, but most things are solved by really specific things that are really good and better than people, but they're only better than people at a really little thing. Like AlphaGo might be the best Go player in the world, but it
It can't
couldn't
play
beat
chess.
me. Yeah, it can't play chess. It would lose at noughts and crosses. It's a stupid thing like that.
Yeah. It's an incredible piece of engineering, but
Yeah, but that's kind of like people though, because you've got people with different skills, and you have the skilled people in certain jobs and stuff. So you're going to have this whole population of AIs and things that are just working as a group, and they can be copy pasted. Got a copy paste workforce. You've got this AI is brilliant at knowing the best route to run a robot through a warehouse. Let's have 1,000 more of them. That's easy. No sick days. And it's always looking at its own efficiency. So it's always tuning itself a tiny bit better each time.
I guess this feels like a bit of a dead end in deciding what the last human job is. If we want.
I think coding was probably a good holdout. It's possibly going to be one of the last ones to go. And you're going to have a few people in it. And you're going to have the few that finally write the the beginning of the end.
Yeah, I mean, once if you can write it just ends up being a super intelligence every time I try and think this. If I can write a general intelligence that's as clever as me, say, then it could well I was starting low, to be honest. That wasn't me being but then I could run that. So I need sleep and eat and whatnot. Well, if I had that, I could clone it 1,000,000 times and I could run it 24 hours a day. And I believe if I worked 24 hours a day for 1,000,000 years, I could build a better version, so it could update itself. So as soon as you get one general intelligence that you can do something with, it should be able to build better ones.
It's very
Feels
Douglas
then
Adams.
like
Yeah.
you get competing ones. Do we have Google UK and Amazon America, and these companies / countries are inseparable? I don't know if I feel better or worse. Is that closer or further away from a world war?
I just keep thinking of the Amazon warehouse with all these robots going around doing all this stuff, and you get some with the Amazon UK AI, and you get some with the Amazon Germany AI, and one thinks one way is more efficient, and they keep getting in each other's way. You end up with an argument.
Or just two robots just circling each other because they're trying to go past each other constantly.
And then you get some of the robots writing in the newspapers going like, "There's a race war in the Amazon warehouse." Like, it's Germany versus UK. Yeah.
So maybe, I've seen some automatically generated news stories, but they were still edited by a person. But I mean, that's interesting. Things that you feel like only a person could do. Like journalism's kind of interesting because you want a person's take on it, even if a machine could do it. I don't know. I think you'd hold that a long time in preference for a person over a machine, even if one could do it.
You could get.
Well,
I could see a want for like a totally impartial thing. Like it's mostly going to be fact something. Well, you could debate where the facts come from, but it doesn't spin it one way or another. It's not a massive defeat. It was a defeat by something percent.
Perfect. That sounds brilliant. I don't know what I was talking about. I was talking out of my ass. I want a robot newsreader right now.
Give me the facts. State them.
Yeah, state them. Give me statistics, please.
But so this is something that I was wondering about: is will people still want that human touch in manufacture of things? Like, will there always be those carpenters that are designing this unique piece that's not manufactured in a factory by the millions? Will there be people that still want a chef to cook them their meal rather than the robot that can cook a nice meal? Like,
yeah.
Are we going for the utopia where everything's hunky dory, or are we going for global communism?
He said that word.
Is it still going to be capitalist, where there are rich and poor? Like, what do we think the end will be? Like,
I want to maybe make a distinction then that we've talked about before. I think a little bit about the difference between a job that has to be done to achieve something and doing something for pleasure.
mm-hmm.
So it might be that I have a chef robot at home that can make my meal, but I quite enjoy cooking, so I might choose to cook, and I might choose to cook for other people. You know, you might run a restaurant as a person, but you might be the chef there for the pleasure of it.
And is it free to eat at this restaurant?
Yeah, well, this becomes difficult, doesn't it? Because how do you earn money if you don't if you don't have a job? What does it mean? How do you?
I heard a thing from Elon Musk talking about this kind of thing. He says if you've got total automation, then he said then you've got an abundance of stuff.
People.
Well, of stuff, and therefore everything is cheap. So, like, I don't know if you get it. Like, I can see in terms of like manufacturing stuff, like you'll have the survey satellites that tell the mining robots where to dig for the raw materials, and then the processing plants, and then it turns into products and assembly lines. And yeah, you could have it totally like untouched by humans from ground to electric car, self-driving electric car. But there's still a finite amount of resources, with like political borders and everything like that. You're gonna have to make these deals. You can't just dig where you want. And then how do you dosh out these products that you're making? Yeah, they'll be cheap, but
Who
Yeah,
gets
if no one
them?
has a
Who
job,
gets
cheap
them?
is cheap enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, will the population decrease? If we don't need the millions and billions of people at the ground mining the resources, sitting in a factory for 10 hours a day making socks.
I think it might increase or decrease, but I doubt it'll be in response to whether it's required or not. I don't know that it's ever been planned. I mean, with all that leisure time, it might increase.
But can the globe support more people? Yes, machines possibly more efficient at doing stuff, but
I like I want to move into the more leisure time thing. So say we've got this utopia. Say we can solve like the money problem. Yeah. Right, so
okay.
you've got what you need. You got enough. You can do what you want. Yeah. So like, but then it was like, because quite a lot of people derive meaning from the job that they do. So if these are then automated, like if nobody's working, like everyone's effectively useless. Like literally, there's no use for you. Like for all of us. Like where did people derive meaning from then?
Feels like a really generational thing to me. My dad, my parents, I think they really tie themselves to their work. They think it's necessary. I've never really thought that it was necessary. I could really easily fill my life without work taking up what 80% of it. I don't know, but it's hard to know. So imagine I don't have to worry about the money. I mean, I'd happily play more golf, or I'd go to the pub and play a bit of pool and have a few drinks and whatever. I don't know how I'm funding these things, but there are things I could do for pleasure. I'd like to read. There's all sorts of stuff I'd like to read that I've not read, and I don't even think I need to leave my house, and I could fill a lifetime. I've managed to fill a year anyway.
Getting through it. One down.
Still got loads of unread books.
I had kind of a semi-funny thought. I thought it was. And that's always kind of the kiss of death, prefacing something with that. As I can hear Matt thinking, we'll be the judge of that. Thank you very much. But like, so people don't work. So you know how at the moment there's quite a lot of idolization about billionaires. Like, oh, who's the richest one in the world? Who's got the most of this? But when it's all, everybody's got it, and everybody's just doing leisure time. You don't have to be a mogul, some description, that kind of thing. But people are just going to be doing like leisure time stuff, and then we're going to put more value onto the achievements of people in leisure time, like sports people, kind of thing. And I thought, no, it's going to be like people going to the gym. Everybody's going to be having like a gym body, and the person with the most gym-like gym body is going to be like the super celebrity. There's going to be the one to aspire to. It's like, look what they've done with their leisure time. Spent their leisure time wisely.
You could imagine it in a utopian way where people are really respected and admired for doing things for their relatives and for the community and whatnot, or probably more likely, like you say, we just idolize even more than we do people who are good at kicking balls or whatever.
Recreational,
yeah.
Ball kicking.
Ball kicking.
That is the last job on a recreational ball kicker.
Pay a lot of money for that.
I nearly suggested it, but they're well on the way making sex robots already, so that won't be the last job. Might have been the first, but it won't be the last.
Well, will it though? Will the last remaining few be so sought after? Because everyone's got the robot at home that they use. Like, will they want that human touch?
I'm going to plead ignorance here, and like, what are you talking about?
I'm just hoping it's not like electric cars where the model's moving towards kind of shared ownership. You just like the scooters you just left all over the street. You just pick one up and put it down when you're done with it.
Oh.
Brings a whole new meaning to the term Boris bike. Yeah. Isn't York getting e-scooters? Just a quick aside.
Yeah, it's got them.
It's got some.
My
How they're
goodness.
coping in the floods, I don't know.
Do they float? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Anyway. Another thought I had, like, if there's like an abundance of stuff and it's all cheap and everybody can get the kind of thing that you want, you know, you go onto Mega Amazon store and you can have whatever you want. Like, stuff becomes like worthless. Not worthless, but
not worthless.
Yeah.
But if this costs me £0 to buy,
yeah,
it's worthless.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even if it costs you some money, I mean, assume you have a finite amount of money and you have to pay some of it for a thing. There is an opportunity cost, but if you didn't go out to work to earn it, if you didn't give up some of your time for it, then that feels like you're not going to value it in the same way.
Yeah.
And if you know that you're going to keep getting your monthly allowance or however it works, yeah.
Yeah. Then I thought, like, so then people are going to put less value on things around them, you know, like we like to collect things, and there's a lot of status stuff. I mean, I don't have a lot of status stuff. I see people that get into that whole kind of thing. Then I thought, well, everybody, what will we then value? Like, what do we look up to other people? Like, oh, it'll
be pre-automation stuff. It'll be like, this was made before the factories. This was made by a human.
Or like you say, there'll be stuff made post-automation, but still by a person.
That'd be funny then. That might imply that it's a cycle. We're going to go through to full automation, and then we value the stuff that is made by people, and then that brings about well, in a kind of capitalist kind of way, it brings about a demand for people to work, which creates jobs, which puts robots out of business.
It's a really pleasing solution, isn't it? I can't imagine that it would ever compete with the robots, but imagine that, yeah, the people making things will be making it because they enjoy making it, and the people buying them would buy them because they are notable quality and they're made by a person. And
would they be for sale? Like, would it just be that I like this person enough that I have made them this thing?
Yeah, you could do that.
And that circle of friends that has that person that makes these things for them is suddenly the social elite.
Yeah, maybe.
You have people trying to integrate themselves into that circle to try and get one of these things that they make.
That would happen, wouldn't it? Because if everyone got 100 units of money per month, I mean, you would trade them between yourselves. And if someone could do something you couldn't, just reach that spot or whatever it may be, then
you're going to end up with these like amalgamations of people. Like somebody's like the carpenter, and then you've got like the butcher and the farmer, and you're going to make these little villages. We'll come together in villages, then we'll attract more people to our village.
Well, will you be able to choose where you live? Or is it you are in flat 37, tower block 7, subsection D of city B?
Yeah. Parked in the red zone. Yeah.
It seems unlikely that we could get there. You'd never say never, but I don't think people would tolerate that.
Again, though, is it a change that's so slow that generation after generation just get a little bit closer and a little bit closer? Slow erosion. You could believe a statistic like houses today are 8% smaller than they were 20 years ago on average.
Well, no, the houses that were the same size now, unless that's a lot of paint. No, the walls are closing in.
That's what you've been doing this past couple of weeks, isn't it? You've been making your house bigger.
Yes, literally.
One layer at a time.
Layers and layers of paint on the doors and the frames. And the wallpaper on top of paint on top of tile adhesive.
You've added 0.5 meter to the floor area.
That's correct. Free space.
Free space.
Assuming everybody then does get like a gym body, leisure time.
I'm working on it.
Leisure. I've been working on it for years. It just keeps getting away from me. That's all.
It's under here somewhere.
No, seriously, I've lost 0.5 stone in the last 2 months.
Very careless.
I know.
Where did you leave it?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew.
Like everyone's like super fit and everything now because robots look after our medicals and everything like that. We've got super gym.
Well, there'll be 2 types of people, won't there? There'll be the super fit people, and then the people that never leave their house.
Yeah, I could see that.
I don't feel like people are going to fundamentally change their nature, are they? I mean, maybe you might slightly sway the current mass one way or another, but basically people are going to be. I think it might be really. A lot of people might just do nothing.
Yeah.
More so than they do now.
Was it Wall-E, where the people got so fat they just gave up?
Is that the Disney approved tagline?
I'm fairly sure. Yeah.
Is that the PG trailer?
It's the 12.
In a world where people got so fat they just gave up. What? Yeah. I think that's interesting. That like you're gonna have. There's going to be a percentage of the population that the full automation and like universal income is going to just completely destroy. I don't know how big it is, but like it's still a number of people. Like I can't remember where it was. They trialed universal basic income in a couple of places, and it basically incentivizes people not to work, which you can understand. But in our context, where there are no jobs anyway, it seems to make sense. Everybody is unemployed.
That's not the couple of trials I've read about. That wasn't the result, but I'm interested.
But it wasn't the takeaway. It was like that they stopped doing it because people had less of an incentive to work.
It was not a bring it back.
What?
Takeaway.
Oh. that was before we pressed record. That's not gonna translate well. But
like the rest of this does.
I think also like back to this percentage of the population that it's going to completely destroy. It's like, I might have mixed it up. I think it was some welfare thing. It was some welfare experiment. Like there's people within it that when they get their check, they immediately go out and binge, like the drink and the drugs and the gamble until the money's gone, and then they're okay again because they have to wait for more money to come in. There's like you're gonna get that at some level.
Yeah, I would thought so. Imagine if you just switched it over tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, there'd be a massive, I think a high percentage of the population who just couldn't cope with having that much freedom.
Yeah.
Without having the structure, it could be really difficult. I mean, people need to sort of compete with each other. I mean, showing some sort of status. I think that's a really meaningful thing to life. I mean, it's natural for people to compete. yeah, we look down our nose a little bit about people who just like flashing their status, but I think it's a natural thing to compete.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how you do that if you don't. If you don't work, I mean, you could do something really charitable, and that could be seen as really good at.
But why do you need to do charity if everything's taken care of?
I mean, there are things like spending time with people that could just be. Yeah, I mean, I know it was the first example that came to mind. I wasn't saying it's what I do, but you can imagine you could do things for people that would be nice, even in a world where jobs are automated. I mean, having company might be all, as much as that, just going and visiting someone who doesn't have family or whatever and doesn't get on with their plastic pal.
Tootling around all day on their Boris bike.
Yeah.
But you're gonna get different tribes of people. Well, not tribes. The wrong word. It's probably very poor word to choose. You're gonna get different groups of people that invest their time. Because when everything's automated and you don't have a job, you've ceased trading your time for money. So what you have now is time. So you choose somewhere to invest that you see gives you value, yeah? Like give you meaning. That's the kind of value I think only people can get. So for some it's going to be go to the gym or the sport or be the best at this particular activity that they can be. That's going to be difficult when they reach a certain age and can no longer do any of that, but some are going to do that. Some are going to be like hyper altruistic and put their time into charitable works, like you say, spending time at the old people's home, just talking to people and that kind of stuff. I wonder how much you're going to get like a Roman Empire kind of thing with like gladiatorial stuff going on. Like we've all got super leisure time. Like, yes, let the gym bodies fight. You know?
I was imagining like philosophy and politics, and people might throw themselves into that side. There'd be a real spread, wouldn't there? I mean,
Yeah,
inevitable, but
yeah,
there would be. Yeah, I like the idea that there's no risk. I mean, the basic income studies I read about, they found that one of the things was that entrepreneurship kind of took off because it took the risk out of trying to do something, trying to start their own business and that kind of thing, because they knew they had this to fall back on, so they could try and do it, and that worked quite well. So if you knew that you had enough money to live on, then you could find other things that you liked to do and maybe that other people liked the outcome of as well. So I'm sure you could. I don't know. I feel like I could really easily find ways to fill my time without work.
finally get round to those projects.
I know. I'm a little bit sad that this isn't happening. Not fast enough, not in our lifetime. Or could we put a time scale on it? Do you think in our lifetime?
No.
What, total automation?
Total's a bit too strong. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know that I really believe total will ever happen, but let's say like the majority of the people living off some sort of universal income or something like that. In our lifetime, maybe that's a stretch.
Yeah.
Is it a good goal? I find that hard to answer, and I'm probably the most in favor of the three of us. I would guess of saying.
Oh no, I completely agree with universal income. It's just it seems like a very far-fetched thing at the moment for anybody to actually do it. Like, yeah, you can do these little small trials everywhere and stuff, but when you think of the amount of poverty that we're not doing anything about that's currently in the world, why would we suddenly switch and start paying universal income?
It took a pandemic for us to take care of homeless people in this country, which could easily be done.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Yeah.
I can imagine it starting to shift in the next 100 years.
I feel like maybe this generation. I think our generation, we were kind of after the big financial, the big climbs and everything, and kind of we had some crashes, but we were kind of too young to really be part of it, and we're after the young generation who kind of care about the planet and are doing good stuff. We're just kind of riding through without doing anything particular. I think maybe the young kids now who care a little bit feel like they're gonna maybe get something done. They're gonna fix the planet and take care of us oldies.
That may just reflect our very small group that we socialise with. We may just be an outlier in this, you know.
That's a good point. I wonder if we should do something about that. We're back to talking to strangers at parties, and it's there are no parties anymore. So
There are just really expensive to go to.
yeah, £10,000. It's a steep deal.
Yeah. Some of that I find funny, like mostly because they got caught. I was like, because I'm at home and have been and haven't. Like the closest thing I got to breaking the guidelines was I had to go out and buy a tree lopper.
Was that an essential purchase?
Exactly. No, it wasn't. I mean, you know, it was being sold. So yeah, but I've not gone to a rave. I've not gone to somebody's birthday party with 60 other people. You know, it's like it's not like you get the invite and like, oh yeah.
Well, apparently some people do.
Yeah, but they must have thought, ooh, should we? Yeah, go on, we'll be all right. They must have known there's the consequence. It's not like they are under a rock.
Yeah, but a lot of them will think, oh, they'll never catch us.
Exactly.
Or some kind of group thing. I mean, if they think, oh, but they're also doing it. I don't know how these raves work. I mean, if you imagine you've gone to a rave.
I don't know how these raves work.
Yeah, whatever these things are. But imagine if these raves are organised, then you're probably charging an admission fee. And if the fine of the organiser is only £10,000, then honestly, that's much. I don't know. Maybe there's more. Maybe there are some stricter consequences as well.
But then there's the other side where, so things like funerals, you're limited to 15 people. How do you police that? Like, so funeral directors are getting fined when more than 15 people turn up. Like, how do you police that as a organisation?
Yeah, it's difficult because they're the organisers, so they get fined. But how are they supposed to turn people away at the door? They're supposed to. And what can you do? So if a 16th person turns up, I thought it was 30. That's not important. But if one more person than is allowed turns up, oh, is it 15 now? Oh my god. So if an extra person turns up, do you call the police? If you've called the police because people are breaking the law, but you're the organizer, are you then okay again? Are you supposed to physically throw someone out of a funeral?
Well, no, because that would be
a 17th person. Yeah, you're just totally shafted, aren't you? Your best bet is to get in next to them.
You could kind of argue it if there were 16 people there. You're like, oh, we didn't think it included the deceased. We were unclear as to that. So we thought it was like ±1. But anyway, moving back to
where were we? What were we just talking about?
Last job on it. Yeah.
Funeral director. There we go.
So there's going to be something about choosing what gets made, even if stuff's getting made. Yeah.
But
the algorithm.
Yeah,
the algorithm. Like, we don't have any of this. Let's make some.
It's difficult.
People
are they just like A/B testing us until? How do you measure happiness? That's
with a stick.
If that's this machine's goal, the machine that runs the world. I think maybe politicians have got some way to go. We wouldn't want to give up policy. I mean, there should be democratically elected people defining the policy that the machine's implementing.
Yeah, but they'll base their decisions on data produced by the machines. That reminds me. Just reminded me of the the newsreader, the impartial newsreader. It's going to be like an app. So on your TV, you can have a slider. You can decide how far left or how far right you want your coverage to be. You can. Today, I fancy being a bit more on the left.
It'll all be like deepfake videos, so you can choose what celebrity you want to present. What old world celebrity? Back when people were actors. You can...
Back when people were people.
Yeah, back when people were people.
I want my Fox News read by Harriet Harman. That's where we're gonna go here. Ooh, what else could you do?
Greta Thunberg with the right-wing news.
Nice. I'm not going to get into spitting image and having her do the weather. That's just... Anyway. What about... one other thing I got on the list is... what about education system? What on earth happens
Why
there?
do you need to know anything when it's just delivered to your door?
But that could be amazing, couldn't it? I mean, you could just learn things for the sake of it, and it wouldn't need to be geared towards exams, because, I mean, that does seem totally pointless. Have exams, but you could just have a more rounded education for just the sake of it. That sounds good to me.
What can you teach them though? Like, here's how to log on and order your new XYZ.
I mean, we don't get taught how to live life now, do we? Nothing we get taught at school is useful. You could just you just learn maths, do more maths. There's no point bothering with languages anymore. That's ideal.
Well, apart from C and C++.
Of course.
All of a sudden, Russia has an 8,000% increase in its gymnasts. It's like everybody in the education system, right? You will do chess, you will do sports, you will do this.
Yeah.
Although chess was probably...
Are schools still a thing?
Yeah.
Everyone homeschooled? Or is it small community?
But worth gathering together.
Yeah, small community schools.
Learn what?
That's one of those things that maybe people would choose
How the
to still
robots
be
work.
teachers. I don't know, because if you imagine teaching without any of the paperwork, I think most teachers would take that job. A lot of people would probably enjoy being part of it. And
yeah, I know quite a few teachers that have stopped because the bureaucracy was just shit.
Yeah, and if it wasn't geared towards exams, and if I mean, you could do some kind of combination of teacher and robot, so the robot does all the marking and that kind of thing. That seems like a thing that's automatable. I mean, you have things like Grammarly.
Why do you need to mark?
I still think a good way to learn is to get feedback on the work that you've done. So it'd still be good to have the kid do a thing and then get feedback on what they've done. There's some value for the teacher in reading what the kid did, but I'm sure you could take some of the tedium out of it. You could just totally automate it. I don't think that's impossible. I struggle to believe that anything a person can do can't be done eventually by a machine.
Yeah. Kind of in that camp, which is a bit upsetting. Seems like I like this idea of this cycle. We move a lot of things over to automation, and then there's more value in the stuff that people have done and can do. I mean, one of the fears is that it devalues everything that people can do, but it might actually add value to it because it's become rarer. You know.
Yeah. Should add value to people who do it well and devalue people who do it poorly. Maybe like. I've just thought though, what is definitely the last job that's going to exist in the world.
Yeah.
It'll be a train guard on the Southern Rail. One of the unions just been striking about for forever. They'll be the last people putting up a fine.
I got three things on my list as potential jobs that would still be going in a fully AI automated robot world. Right.
Go on then.
Really? Swim coach.
Nah.
Yep. Robots can't swim.
but they could make inflating pants.
They don't need to swim. They just have a grappling hook from the ceiling that just holds the child afloat.
Yeah. So, swim coach, we'll still want people to teach us how to swim.
Why?
You don't want a robot doing it. It's not the kind of thing you can learn from YouTube. I'm pretty sure it isn't.
I'm fairly sure it is.
We're going to have to find people who can't swim, show them YouTube, throw them in, and see if it worked. And to be scientific, we're going to have to repeat it a number of times. Killing spree in Yorkshire.
Some describe it as a killing spree, others describe it as beta testing the new Swim Coach 8000.
We needed a control group, all right?
They knew what they signed up for. They have contracts. But, okay. In a similar vein, personal trainer.
No.
No?
I mean, that's already
There's an app
halfway
for that.
automated, isn't it?
Yeah. To actually have somebody, to go to somebody and be there and then show you the thing and push you on and motivate you on.
You just play a Mr. Motivator video for them.
There's something about that kind of, there's some judgment going on there. Like this person.
Well, you just live stream it to your friends. It's automatically live streamed to your friends.
Is that a request? Because I'll try that. Right.
Yeah, sure.
Quick, log on here. Look, watch this. Oh.
You could get your motivator belt to tweet your waist size.
Yeah.
And over time to see if you're and your scale shoes to tell everyone how much you weigh.
Yeah, and the fridge to send out a tweet when you've eaten the last muffin.
I was thinking we did it. Our first online delivery shop is due imminently tonight. We normally just shop. We ordered it. I'm not sold. But I was thinking from that shop, you could probably tell so much about a person. Just from any individual shop, you could tell all sorts. They didn't really. It was Tesco. They did really unoriginal things like suggest things that Katie had previously bought in the last shop. It was our previous shopping list through the club card, even though that was in person. It still new. It just suggested the things we bought last time that we hadn't bought, which was uninspiring. What it could have done is said, "Oh, you've bought I don't know, mushrooms and shallots. You need some eggs to make your carbonara or whatever." It could have done something inspired like that, but it didn't.
Well, quite often you have people who bought this also bought this.
Yeah. It did that a bit for individual items when you clicked on an item, and that was actually quite good. I can't remember what I clicked on, but it suggested people who bought this also bought leeks, and I wanted leeks, and I'd not thought of it, so that was good. I'm not wholly opposed to it. It would have been better on a website instead of on Katie's phone, I think. Some people like phones and some people like computers, and I don't just like a computer. I really like a keyboard and a mouse over a laptop. I'm home. I can control it now.
Yeah, it's like somebody asked me for a list of things the other day, and I was like, I'll get back to you when I'm by my computer. I'm not faffing around with copying and pasting links on stuff on my phone.
I'm certainly beyond that.
Use pencil paper.
Yeah, it's so much effort to do it on my phone. I don't even know how I'd get a link on my phone.
How many words per minute are you on
On
your
my
phone?
phone.
Can you touch
Three.
type? I bet you'll be able to touch type in very little time. It's much
On the
easier to
phone?
touch type on those, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On the,
to be fair,
like 9
you
key.
can do it without looking on a number pad one.
Yeah. I can't at the moment. I don't send enough text. Nobody talks to me.
Well, because you wanted a quiet life.
Well, this is true.
You can't have it both ways, you know.
I don't want it both ways. I just want, I need to do some texting practice, is what I'm saying.
You text yourself.
Just
Yeah.
in case.
Yeah.
You're trapped in a van, blindfolded, with your hands tied behind your back and the phone in them.
It's my new exercise routine that I'm streaming to you.
I was just when that sofa gets delivered. That's all I'm thinking.
Tonight,
So the
on
third
Hot and
job.
Sweaty in a Van. Burpees and crunches. Oh, yeah. With a few lunges for the Patreons.
10 more! 10 more!
So, do we think...
Third job. Third job.
Oh, the third job. You want the third job? I'm a bit
Yeah, we want
embarrassed to
third
say
job.
it now. Wet nurse.
Again, no. I
No?
think they'll figure that one out.
Yeah.
Bit of latex.
Do wetnesses still exist?
Probably.
Jack's come up with a thing that's already extinct. The last human job. Oh fuck! Doesn't even exist anymore.
The last creature alive on Earth will be the T-Rex. I am certain of it.
Maybe this is another one that's a cycle.
I was going to say that could be a possibility when we accidentally make one.
Yeah.
I've seen
Robo
Jurassic
T-Rex.
Park.
Accidentally. Just, oops, knocked the
Oh,
wrong
shit.
thing off the table.
We got the algorithm wrong, and the machine did what it was supposed to do and made some 10-year-old very happy. It made a T-Rex.
We've seen a massive demand in searches for T-Rexes.
Yeah. I think they do still exist, yes.
T-Rexes.
No. Wet nurse.
A T-Rex
Jack with the
wetner.
conspiracy theories.
Yeah. Mm.
They live on the underside of the flat Earth.
Is that a wet nurse for T-Rexes or a T-Rex with breasts?
Well, that's a question. Did
Their arms could reach, you see. Provocative T-Rex.
did T-Rex have nipples?
No.
Reptile. No.
Yeah. Reptile. Had eggs and...
Yeah, but you say that. Was it the
Yes.
duck-billed platypus?
Oh,
Which
eggs
is
and
also not a
nipples.
T-Rex. Along
But they
with
lay
every
eggs.
other creature.
They lay
Yes.
eggs. They lay eggs, but they have nipples,
So
or no,
illegal.
or like they have lactating glands of some description. I don't think it's nipples.
You should write a dirty story. That'd be
Yeah,
The
but
lactating glands.
some description.
no.
No.
No,
No.
no.
But if you Google T-Rex with nipples, you can almost guarantee you'll find one.
Although
This is
there's
the problem
one,
with confirmation bias.
and I saw the news recently. Now, if you Google Australia, it returns no results.
If you Google Australia,
Yeah, there's no results. They're turning off Google in Australia.
Are they really?
If their prime minister or something's in a war with Google, and he said we don't respond to threats, and Google's like, okay.
Yeah, I heard a story like that before, but was it about another country? I can't remember, but I mean, it seems unlikely that Google would give up all that data. I don't know what Australia's asking them to do. They're
want
asking them to... Go on.
Yeah, they're wanting them to. So whenever Google links to like a news media article, they should pay for it. That content.
Yeah.
You know, content that they're putting out there for free anyway. Google should pay for it.
although possessing mammary glands, the platypus lacks teats. Instead, milk is released through pores in the skin. The milk pools in grooves on her abdomen, allowing the young to lap it up.
Oh, body shots, nice.
Basically, yeah. But they lay eggs which hatch.
Yeah.
What?
T-Rexes still don't have nipples.
Yeah.
No, T-Rexes don't. And I'll look that up as well.
Did you find an image where they do?
No, don't do it. Oh, goes on your permanent Google record.
There's some weird stuff on there anyway, it's fine.
People who search for this also viewed this. Ah! Anyway.
No, I've got DJ rap to Jesus at a rave. I haven't got any T-Rex nipples though.
I've got one with like machine gun breasts.
Oh, nice.
Right. Well, coincidentally, we just reached the hour mark, and we're losing the crowd.
They're just getting warmed up.
What are we talking about now? Are we still talking about T-Rexes? Oh dear. I'm going to have to list this at the end. Yeah, for my little intro bit that I record about what's discussed in... I'm not clicking that link. No.
Ooh, the link. Oh, is that the one coming out the nipples?
It's got like little T-Rex arms coming out the nipples.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Right. Well,
Oh, genius.
this is obviously what people will spend their time doing when they don't have to work. We found it out. Googling obscene things.
It's not obscene.
I've not
Brilliant.
looked. I'm not clicking that link. No.
Oh, you're boring.
Yep. I don't want those kind of nightmares. I liked the edit of this podcast when I stopped the recording just as Matt was saying, no. That was good. So I'm going to end the recording now for this one. I think we covered everything.
Well, and some.
Yeah, well, other than the actual answer to the question, the last job on Earth.
Well, your takeaway, chef.
Takeaway chef. Went for swim.
I would always want a takeaway. Like,
Mm.
no matter how many jobs the robots have taken, I want a takeaway.
I'm going for swim coach. I think it's swim
Comedian.
coach. Comedian. You not seen that South Park episode with Funny Bot?
Episode
With Funny Bot.
No. If you're looking for something to sponsor.
Right. We'll call it there. Last job on Earth is some kind of funny swimming coach that does
That cooks you a
takeaways.
meal.